An intellectual carrot, the mind boggles.
You see? You see? You're stupid minds. Stupid! Stupid!
Earth has had Santa Claus long enough. We will bring him to Mars.
I've been afraid a lot of times in my life, but I didn't know the real meaning of fear until I had kissed Becky.
One thing will be clear. It's not for man to interfere in the ways of God.
It's alive. Oh, it's alive. It's alive. It's alive.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Earth vs. Soup, episode 156. I'm Aaron Pollier.
And I'm Darlene.
We watched a good one today. Right?
I guess.
I mean, I'm being positive. Like, we've been watching some, like, kind of disappointing ones or ones that we haven't really liked. This one I have seen before, just as an MST3K. This is the giant Gila monster from 1959.
It's 75 minutes long, $138,000, was done in June, showed on June 25th of 1959.
Okay. So it actually had a decent budget. $138,000 in 1959. I don't know, multiply it by... I forget the conversion. I should have remembered to do that right beforehand. But that's not that bad for this movie.
Nick Linden shot the film back-to-back with The Killer Shrew.
The Killer Shrews, which is also an episode of MST3K. And I think that we're going to do that movie next. Mainly because they were shown together. They're done by the same people. They were filmed in the same areas. I was actually surprised by this movie. And I think you were too, because there were times where you were like, oh, wow, look at that.
There were some things that were really good. The Gila monster is not a Gila monster. It is actually a Mexican bearded dragon.
It's a pretty creature.
They don't look too different from each other. One's got a shorter tail. The Gila monster has a shorter tail.
I'm sure you have seen this as an MST3K. Have you seen this not as an MST3K before?
I probably have.
This one, but not as an MST3K.
I think so.
Really? Okay. Because I don't think I ever have. But this has a lot of cliches in it. The thing is that the cliches work in this overall. So let's talk about the plot. The plot is, I don't want to say simple, because there's actually a lot going on here. And I think maybe how weird some of the sections of the movie are made it way more enjoyable for us. I
think the announcement should have been just cut out.
Oh, the opening narration? It just didn't make sense. Like, in the American West, there are vast forests where no one knows, you know, where things live, and the Gila monster lurks in the dark forests of the American West. And it's like, okay, no, but fine, whatever. Just ignore it, and then it goes into like, even before the credits, there's like a couple making out
in a car that gets hit by something and tumbles down the hill.
Well, we see what happens. We don't see a perfect view of the Gila monster. What happens is that they see something. The guy freaks out, immediately takes his foot off the brake or whatever. Or the car starts moving forward. Then it gets knocked by something. They roll, but they see like the claw coming down of the giant Gila monster. So they see it. We kind of see the Gila monster. As a monster, I will also say that you don't need to hide it when it's literally just a giant version of a regular creature. There's no reason to hide it. Everyone knows it's going to be a Gila monster, right? So
except that it's not.
They go into the credits, and this movie has like tons of teen cliches. And I have like, thankfully, Internet Movie Database, thankfully, so I didn't actually have to look this up on Internet Movie Car Database, which is actually a thing, along with Internet Movie Gun Database. They're both things that I tend to use when I'm looking things up. They actually have a listing of the cars and tractors that are in this movie. And I know that sounds pedantic, but since we specifically geeked out about the cars in this movie, how like beautiful they were, and they must have been just like people's personal cars because of the budget of this movie and all of that. We get out of the credits with teens dancing at like a soda jerk shop.
Yes, and old man Harris comes in, and the kids try to get him to
Sell his car.
his 32 Deuce.
I
I don't know what a Deuce is, but that's what they called it.
It's a 1932 Ford Model B hot rod. That's what it is. Old man Harris drives a 1932 Ford Model B with modified headlights. So it's basically the same model car that the main character is driving. He just wants to get it for spare parts, I guess, or to kit bash it out like he does, like he has his. It's the same model car. It's just they obviously
It wasn't Chase that was asking him for it.
Everybody,
It was everyone.
Everyone asked because Chase is the one that comes back in and says, "I'll give you $150 for it," and the guy like specifically says, "Hey guys, look, I bought it for $695. See, I remember that price. I paid $695 for it when it was brand new, and you know what? It was worth nothing 8 years ago. Now it's worth something. I had a guy last week offer me $100 for it, and I said no because I refuse to sell it until I can get more money than what I paid for it in the first place." And then he has the gall to come back. I'll give you $150 for it. Like later on, I thought, oh, you SOB, like I wanted like old man, whatever his name.
And Chase
old
has
man
got
Harris,
it kind of stripped for money too. We find out that.
Yeah, he's stripped for money. There's some illegal activity that occurs because of that. Yeah, Darlene, did you forget about that? Like,
no, I did not.
How often I was like, oh my God, there's going to be a grand jury.
Aaron, that's part of the plot.
Okay, so there's all these kids. They're having fun. It's actually not like annoying like a lot of 1950s sci-fi teen things. Like they're just having fun. It's regular dialogue. It doesn't feel forced.
And at the last, one of the kids says, and it's not Chase, I don't think.
No.
Tell Pat and Lisa, whoever it was,
that hey, they're late.
They're gonna go to the drive-through.
And those are the two kids that disappeared. Well, that got killed. Everyone assumes they just disappeared later on in the film. So, the sheriff ends up going out to see Chase at the garage. Chase works as a mechanic at the garage. It's why he has this hardcore hot rod that he's converted this 1932 Ford Model B.
You're skipping a thing because there's Pat and Miss Humphreys doesn't come back home the night, and that's where Mr. Sheriff is with Mr. Wheeler to report that.
Oh yeah, that's right.
His son is missing.
Yes. Now there's a big discussion about.
And that's a huge house.
It's a huge house. Well, it has obviously it's somebody that they knew in this area of Texas. So, father is pissed off when the sheriff suggests that his son and his girlfriend eloped and went over the state line. I assumed like Louisiana, because that's kind of where I honestly don't know where they filmed this, but it is possible that. Oh, they went over the state line. It's Lake Dallas, Texas. So is that?
I don't know where that is.
Okay, well, talk
Lake
about
Dallas
what's going
on.
on.
Lake Dallas is probably near Dallas.
Well, I would think so.
It wouldn't be too far from the border, though.
Well, I'm pulling up a map while we talk about
it. There's a discussion between him and Mr. Wheeler. Mr. Wheeler is a lousy person. You get that.
The father, yeah. And it's over the border to Oklahoma.
And he keeps calling Chase a bad person and that he's getting Pat in trouble. And the sheriff said to Mr. Wheeler that the kids would be more of a problem if Chase wasn't
Chase was like the responsible one.
It isn't leading them to a better.
Yeah, because Chase is trying to keep like his friends on the straight and narrow. Like he actually does seem to be like a good kid, But there's some heavy illegal crap that happens in this movie that I'm
all
like, oh,
provoked
man.
by the sheriff.
Is it? No,
yes.
It's not. It's Chase suggesting it, and the sheriff just goes along with it.
Okay. But then the sheriff goes to see Chase at his
the shop.
And and that's where he talks to...
Yeah, he says, what's going on with these missing kids? Could they have eloped? Did he have money? Yeah, he had money because his father gave him an allowance when he wasn't pissed off with him.
And had some $500 that he's saving up for a few parts.
Well, yeah, he said he was saving up for some car parts to build out his hot rod. But
$500, you could buy a car for that.
And the sheriff's like, well, do you know if he's used that money on that? And he goes, I don't know. It's his money. It's not my business. If he orders it from this shop, I'll know, but he hasn't. So it's actually kind of like a reasonable discussion between a sheriff and this teenage kid that's working at... Now, he seems to be like...
At Crumpets.
He seems to be like the lead mechanic at the shop. Because there's another teen that does work there that we see later on.
I think that was just a discussion.
Was it?
I think it was just a...
He was in overalls.
I think they were working on something that was there.
Okay.
But it seems like Mr. Crumpet is the owner.
Okay.
But the kid does, and Mr. Crumpet is kind of an alcoholic. Or is that just Old Man Harris?
That's Old Man Harris. Now, you see, here's Old Man Harris comes in because he's got some problems with his car.
Where are you at?
Old guy has cans of...
Okay. Is that...
That's Old Man Harris.
No, that was Mr. Crumpet.
That was Mr. Crumpet?
That was Mr. Crumpet.
Okay, well,
but the sheriff goes on to the Humphreys, the farmers, to tell them ask about their daughter.
Yeah, the daughter was missing.
And he finds out she's still missing too. Then you have the liquid nitro case.
Yeah, this guy has like just cans of nitroglycerin rattling around his car.
That he took out of the cases.
He took out of the protective cases, and he just has rattling around in the car. Now, I immediately said, well, those are Chekhov's nitroglycerin cases, because in general, there's two things that we learn about in monster movies from the 1950s. Dynamite is on every corner store, and if you don't have dynamite, you can make explosives. Now, here we have just cans of nitroglycerin coming up, and Chase is like, you're insane for having these in your car. I'm taking them out and putting them in a safe place. Okay, buddy, no problem. You know those are going to come into use later on. Correct. Well, they do, but that is insanity.
But after he puts it away in the shed, there's a call that comes in about a wreck outside of town.
Okay.
With the skid marks that go sideways.
Yeah, they actually go into a little bit of detail once they get to the scene of like, this is a strange crash. There's skid marks that go sideways across the highway like it was hit.
And the car doesn't look like it hit a tree, but it looks like it hit a tree.
Yeah, it looks like it hit a tree, but from the skid marks and its position, it looks like it was hit sideways across.
But it also has front end.
It also has front end damage. But now we as viewers understand, well, it means that this thing got sideswiped by the giant Gila monster on the highway. But the fact is that the writer/producer of this kind of figured out what a car wreck would look like if a monster just smacked it to the side on the road. And I'm like, that's good job. Like, thank you. They just didn't make it look like, oh, here, they just roll the car. That's weird. Where are the bodies? Well, that comes up. Where are the people in the car wreck?
There's blood.
There's blood all over the interior, but
and
there's
this
no
is
bodies.
one of your favorite conversations between Chase and the sheriff, because the sheriff goes to take pictures of the skids, but he's bad at taking pictures.
Yeah.
But what is it that
Well, the sheriff goes, what the hell's wrong with you, boy? I've given you like 2 warnings. There's your headlight is out on your hot rod. Well, sir, I've been saving up for my sister's braces.
And something.
Yeah, it's $4 and something to get a new headlight. And I'm like, oh, you SOB. And Chase then suggests that he take the headlight off the wrecked car because no one's going to miss it. And the sheriff's like, okay, fine, you do that. That's for your safety. And I'm like,
you got a screwdriver is what he asked.
You got a screwdriver? You go do that. And I'm like, oh my God. The sheriff is just letting Chase steal things off what is very clearly a murder scene, or like a scene of death. Let's put it that way. They don't show how much blood is in, but they're shocked at how much blood there is across the interior of the car. There are no bodies. There are no tracks leading away from the car. This is a very bizarre mystery. None of the scenes should be screwed with.
Yet they all are.
Yet every single scene in this movie is specifically screwed with. And here's what makes this movie good. And I'm going to jump ahead a little bit. You think this is all because they're just trying to be cute, or they didn't think about this? Nope. Later on, it comes back to bite the sheriff in the ass.
Okay, that's good.
That's
okay,
good. We'll get to that. It's great.
Now, next, as Chase takes the car with the wrecker back to Kremp's, he finds a suitcase. So you have this little short scene where this guy is smoking a cigarette with his thumb out.
Yeah, he's hitchhiking. He's like a traveling salesman who's hitchhiking.
Okay. And the next scene you have is
this guy getting basically wiped out by the giant Gila monster. He's eaten.
Well, I was going to say is Chase stopping the car with the sheriff behind him.
Yeah, he's like, that's really weird. Look at this. There's this nice briefcase, a traveling sales case. That's
yes,
because it's bigger than a briefcase, but not as big as a suitcase,
and it's kind of chunkier.
Yeah, it's to me it looks like a traveling salesman's case. It's just nicely sitting on the road, upright, not scuffed or anything. And again, they go through the details of it. Well, somebody obviously lost it off their car, and Chase is like, no, man, it was upright right here, and this is clean. And he goes, well, then somebody must...
He also even said that it was fake leather.
Yeah, he goes, this is fake leather. If it was tossed or like really badly abused or just dropped here, it would have all these scuff marks that we could see. Somebody really cared about this. This is nicely sat here like somebody was waiting for a car. Somebody really cared about this. And
then they found the cigarettes with one of them being broken.
Half a pack of cigarettes.
Because
I said it's a half pack of cigarettes. It's dark out. And it's because he says, well, that's a half pack of cigarettes. And there's like one that's halfway out. Like it was this guy trying to like take a smoke out.
No, one was broken on the ground.
One was broken on the ground. So we then get a shot of the Gila monster for real now. Okay. And he's just hanging out underneath a bridge. I'm skipping some scenes that don't really much matter. Now, Darlene always gets confused with like me talking about the movie because you usually think I've missed a scene, and I haven't. But we see the Gila monster hanging out under a bridge, and he climbs out after the hitchhiker. That's what I've already said. We saw that happening. Okay. We learn that Chase's girlfriend is French, and she has been working for
Mr. Wheeler's house.
And it's interesting because he's not like your typical 1950s boyfriend who's, I don't know, super respectful around the parents. Usually you see that. But since she doesn't have parents that are here, it's like she really is an immigrant. And
he does something. He throws something to get her attention, and then goes into like a patio or something.
Yes, but he's like specifically tutoring her on English and all of that. Like he actually is being a really nice person, and it turns out like we said, and I'm gonna jump ahead a couple scenes here so you don't immediately start going, you missed things. That when he said I'm broke because I'm saving up money for my sister's braces, your automatic thing in the 21st century is thinking that he wanted to get teeth braces for his sister.
I didn't think that.
Well, I didn't think that either because, again, I remember seeing this at an MST3K version, but also knowing that this is 1959, what they're talking about are polio braces.
or something
like that, because to me it seems to
she could have been
suggest that
pigeon-toed, or
that wasn't because she can't walk. She had polio, just not a crippling, deadly case of it. So she couldn't walk. He's actually been saving up for special shoes and leg braces for her so she could actually walk. Dude, this guy is like, he really is. If you know,
and he
like,
takes care of his little sister, his mother.
Yeah, father's not around.
And isn't there another sister?
I think there. I don't remember. I don't think so. I don't think the father's around though.
No, the sheriff actually even says somewhere where he was talking to Wheeler or something.
Yeah.
That he's taking care of his family.
Okay. Do they suggest what's happened? Because I mean,
I can't remember.
I can give an assumption.
He died in the war.
He died in the war while Chase was a little kid. Because I mean, if Chase is like, let's say, 18,
no, because the kid, his sister is probably only.
Oh, you know, you're right.
8.
You're right. No, that still could happen. He just didn't die in World War II. He died in Korea. That's very possible. Because his sister's like 8 or 9 or something like that, and that tracks for Korea.
And it would explain why a 18-year-old has an 8-year-old sister as well.
Yeah.
You know, gone somewhere.
Yeah.
Comes back.
Then gone again and
gone
dies.
Again.
Yeah. Chase is actually like a good guy. And how anyone might think he is a hooligan of some sort, I don't know. But the thing is, like, fair enough. We already know that he's scamming pieces of cars off wrecks, which seems to be like his only vice, because it comes up again when there's another wreck and the sheriff wants Chase to help, and he allows him to loot the wheels off the wrecked car.
Yes, but you have Mr. Wheeler fusses with the sheriff. This is to get the sheriff to come to Chase to that's the part where he takes the wheels off the car. For them to search for Pat Wheeler, son, the son of Mr. Wheeler. The sheriff goes to Chase, and Chase gets the kids to go look and find him in the reservoir.
Yeah.
Which is the second scene that goes wrong.
Okay, go ahead. Why?
Because they find the car.
Yeah.
In the ravine.
Yeah.
But instead of Chase telling the sheriff, he gets it. He pulls it out of the ravine himself with the kids.
Yeah. So we end up having Chase and his girlfriend almost getting eaten by the Gila monster at this other wreck site.
Yeah, in the ravine.
Yeah, they get away. We have the Gila monster wrecking a fuel truck with. Is that the old guy?
That's Mr. Crimpton's truck with fuel. Yes.
Okay, he gets wrecked. It explodes
and catches on fire.
And this is where Chase ends up going home and seeing his kid sister walking with the help of the new braces. And I said it was a really sweet scene.
Which his French girlfriend put in the money for. Helped
out with it. Yeah, she had been saving money too. And it actually is a very sweet scene. I don't know. It was heartwarming.
Yes.
Like usually I'm very cynical about these kinds of things because they're really trying to provoke a response. And while this is provoking a response, they clearly wanted it to provoke a response. It actually felt earned with the character because all the way through it, you've had people talking about like, hey, this guy is a good guy. He's helping out like his mom. He doesn't need to. Most other teenagers would have just said, screw you, I'm out. I'm not going to have this kind of responsibility. You know what I mean? Like, and it turns out he really is a good kid.
And where did we get the steamroller guy, the DJ?
That was right before they find the wreck that they take the tires off of, because the DJ is a real life DJ. He uses like a different name in this, but he's a real life DJ from the area. He's drunk as a skunk, and Chase takes him to sleep it off.
Yes, at
the
shop, and takes out the ding on in his fender that is
for free. Right?
Well, he gets paid $220s,
which is a lot of money,
and that probably is what helped him
pay for the braces in the end. Yeah, but he's like there while he's working, he's singing, and this DJ hears him and actually recognizes the fact that this guy's like a decent singer. Now, I'm not going to judge because it's not my style of music. I think he sounded pretty good. I don't know if that really is the actor singing or not, but yeah, he's a good singer. And that pays off later again when, we'll get to it. So we have the fuel truck getting blown up.
Then you have the funny part with the old man Harrison being drunk, chases the train,
and he
crosses over in front of the train, and then old man Harris sees the lizard
wreck the train bridge.
Wreck the train bridge, and the train derails.
It's a passenger train. It's not like a freight train. And then the Gila monster starts eating the passengers.
So old man Harrison goes to the sheriff.
Old man Harris, not Harrison.
Harris. And the sheriff has this, because before then, you actually had the sheriff at one point calls him out and has him breathe on him.
Yeah. No, okay, you're fine. But this time he is drunk as hell.
Shit.
And the sheriff's like, you're going to go sleep it off. Here, lock yourself up. Okay?
Give me your keys.
Do you want to call your wife? And he's like, Sheriff, hell no.
I'm going.
I'm not going to talk to my wife. Screw that. So, yeah,
the sheriff knows everyone and knows how to take care of everyone.
This is where the sheriff is like so fed up he actually takes a flask out of his desk and starts drinking.
No, that's the flask that was his.
Oh yeah,
doctor. He goes to smell it and was like, "Whoa,
yeah.
Whoa, I don't know what the hell this is. Probably could take out the paint on a car."
So then we go to like a teen sock hop out at a barn, and it turns out that the DJ from earlier that was rescued decided to come back. He ended up recording a whole session, like a whole record, with Chase because he liked Chase's singing so much, and cut it, and then and all the kids know this DJ. He's like, I'm from KILT, Kilt Radio or whatever, and all the kids know him. He's like, oh wow, and he starts playing music, and he goes, okay, so I'm gonna play you a new record. It has somebody you might know on it, and
can you guess
who? And everyone's like, oh, it's Elvis, or and nope, it's Chase. You all lose, ha ha ha. And everyone's really stunned that Chase actually.
And then he sings that stupid little song that he sang for his sister, which was,
what is it? The Mushroom Song. There's the Mushroom Song that he sings. There's like the song about elephants.
Laughter is what I.
Oh, okay. Well, there's a lot of songs on this. So, rich guy finally decides to take the sheriff to task for all the bullshit that this guy has let Chase get away with, taking things from Rex. Because he figures out that, like, hey, look, this is my kid's car. He interfered with a crime scene. Okay? He shouldn't have done that. He needs to be arrested, and you didn't do anything about him doing that. And then, look, I know his car. Those wheels are off that car. You let him steal tires off that car. And look, there's headlights missing from this car. Did you let him do that? And he's like, yep. Sheriff, this will be your last duty as sheriff. You're going to go out there and arrest Chase. And you know what? I'm like, dude, this rich guy might be a dick, but he's right. The sheriff's been abusing his position, letting Chase kind of run all over him, letting him take shit off active crime scenes.
Okay, but they get to, and this is where I actually wrote, they roll into
the barn where the sock hop is happening.
And it's an actual barn.
Yeah.
But what I gotta say is, when they get when they put it to the miniature, the way they have the toy cars on the miniature is exactly where the other ones were.
Yeah, it's actually a good miniature shot. So the Gila monster goes out there and breaks through the wall. It just wants a hug. It just wants a hug really bad.
It wants to lick their face.
I know it's been seeing all these teenagers sucking face. It wants to suck face too. It breaks through the barn wall. The sheriff starts shooting at the monster with a shotgun. I'm like, dude, come on. No, it's not going to do anything to this. It's huge, right?
It did run it off.
So,
and then the sheriff put Mr. Wheeler as a deputy.
I'm deputizing you, and he's completely ineffective, right?
To keep
all the kids in one place.
And
he totally fails. Like, the kids just don't listen to him, and he even admits it. Like, they're not going to listen to me. Who am I? Like, you can deputize me, but no one respects you, sheriff. That's what it kind of comes across as at first. Like, if no one respects you, why are they going to respect me?
But it was to prove to Mr. Wheeler
that a sheriff's job is difficult.
The thing is,
all the kids just walk over the sheriff. That's the thing. No one does really respect. I mean, I think they might like him.
They like him,
but they don't respect him.
I don't know if that's
as
respect
like a voice of authority. Well, like the sheriff says to everybody, "Stay here." What happens? No one listens to him. They all just go, including Chase, who goes.
Chase was already gone.
Chase goes back to the car shop, grabs the cans of nitroglycerin,
puts it in a seat with his girlfriend,
and he's like, just don't let these jostle. And then he tears ass around like fishtailing around with big old coffee cans filled with just nitroglycerin, and he decides to kamikaze his car into the side of the Gila monster, blowing it the F up.
And what does the sheriff do?
Sheriff's like, good job.
And Chase goes, that's my car.
But I killed my car, Sheriff. Well, I guess that's the price you pay. And I would have said, like, well, look, dude, just go get all the pieces that you took off your car, replacing them with pieces of active crime scenes, and you'd have a whole car again. You dick.
Yeah.
The end. Okay, so I had a lot of joy with this movie.
Just because of the sheriff.
The sheriff.
There's only 2 people that actually have named people in here.
Like, it's the sheriff, Chase. There's his girlfriend.
Chase doesn't have very much. It's Old Man Harris and the sheriff that are actually got
like lots of credits to their name.
Everybody else is
the sheriff is Fred Graham, who was in just about every damn Western you can possibly think of on television. He has like almost 300 credits to his name. Don Sullivan, who played Chase, he did some science fiction, not a lot. He recorded the music for this.
But Old Man Harris was played by
Shug Fisher,
who has a lot to his name.
About 86 Dukes of Hazzard, I see, like Gunsmoke. Yeah.
No, you go further down into and it was a lot there.
Yeah, it's a lot of uncredited roles in Westerns. But anyway, those are the 2, like Shug Fisher and Fred Graham are like the 2 people that have the most in this. Everybody else is not even known by Wikipedia. Well, that doesn't matter.
Yes, but
Lisa was actually in things, and she only recently died in 2020. The actress.
What did she? Where was she from? Was she actually French or?
Oh yeah. She was born in Paris. Yeah, 1935 in Paris, and she actually was in like Mutiny and the Bounty, 4 Horsemen of the Apocalypse. She was in Wagon Train. Even before, Missile to the Moon, which we have seen in 1958, she was a moon girl.
Wow.
So she was actually in that. We've seen that. Anyway, what worked in this movie? Believe it or not, I think the acting worked in this movie. This is a kind of a low-budget movie, so you don't expect to have a lot of good actors, but the acting was good.
It kind of felt Dukes of Hazzard-y like.
Well, it felt a little more improv and real rather than overly scripted. And that's what I think helped this movie. Maybe like that the director wasn't being too much of a stickler for the script. Like, he just like, hey, kids talk like kids. Even though they're not, I'm sure they weren't kids at the time. Like, 1935? So, how old was Lisa? She was 24 at the time. She's not a teenager, but they're still, young. How old was Chase? I don't know. Don Sullivan was born in 1929, so he's 30 years old at this point.
And he did look like
he looked kind of young.
Yeah.
He didn't look like a teenager, but he was younger than the old dudes around. So the director was probably like, look, just speak naturally. I'm not going to give a big, two whoops about it. Everyone had their own cars. The cars were great because then it actually felt like it didn't feel like a low budget movie because I'm sure a lot of these people just owned these cars and brought them in. So
and I liked how one of the kids with his girlfriend,
yeah,
the daughters actually worked on that roadster, but he'd pick her up and either her side didn't work.
Yeah.
But every time you were with those two, he would go around to her side of the car, pick her up,
and get her out.
And it was
the door just didn't work.
I don't know if the door didn't work. It didn't have a door, but his side worked.
Can I say the miniatures actually weren't bad?
No, they weren't bad. They were really, like I said, that hole where the barn comes in.
Yep. Even the train wreck.
Because the sheriff and Mr. Wheeler come in to a barn area. Mm-hmm. There's cars all the way around it. And then when the Gila monster is there, it's all miniature, but the cars are parked exactly where they were at the time.
My comment while we were watching the movie, when some of these miniature scenes came around, I said, this is the quality of miniature work that in general I would expect from
Toho.
Like Toho at the time. There wasn't anything incredibly detailed. Like the train wreck looked fine. It looked fine, which means for this kind of budgeted movie, that's good.
It was actually looked like a
model. It was
train.
A model.
But the lizard was an actual lizard, so I don't know how they got it to.
They just put it in the scene and just filmed it when it was going to do something. And we'll just keep running this train.
It must have been hungry for it to go through the wall of the paper.
Oh, Darlene, you know what they did.
What?
They just held the lizard's head and pushed it forward.
Do you think they did that?
Yeah. Why else would it want to just plow through a freaking fake balsa wood wall?
It wasn't balsa, it was paper.
Whatever. You know it's not going to do that normally.
No.
And if it's just paper, it's going to push through easily. It's not going to hurt the lizard. But that's just going to have some guy behind him. Yeah, but he would probably use it with his claws first to try to claw through it, and then it would look weird. No, they just pushed his head forward. Like it's not going to
first, and then
it's not going to hurt him. I don't think it was going to hurt him. I don't think they did. Let's put it that way. It didn't. The animal never looked distressed like some of the movies that we have watched, like Journey to the Center of the Earth, the lizard in that, which is actually upsetting to watch because you know that animal was terrified. The animal always looked actually well taken care of. It did not look distressed. It looked fine. What else was I going to say? I actually thought the editing was fine in this too. Again, like for a low budget movie, a low quote unquote budget movie from like just people that are in North Texas making a couple films, this and Killer Shrews at the same time. This isn't a bad movie at all. What didn't work in this? Or do you have anything else that you want to add to what worked?
I think I think one of the things that worked was they didn't have high budgeted people either.
Yeah. The money went to everything on screen. Like, I doubt that you had to pay the actors very much. I'm sure they did get paid. I'm sure they did.
Hopefully.
Like, but the money that was there was to make the little miniature sets, to get the camera in the film, and I'm sure like actually do good audio work, which is an overlooked thing on a lot of low budget movies. A lot of times they'll just use like camera mics.
Did you see any gaff? What is it called?
What, the boom mics?
Boom mics or that? I didn't either, but I was thinking about that.
I think a lot of the stuff was like looped later on. ADR'd.
Maybe.
But either way, fine, great. It sounded fine. So what didn't work? What did not work? I don't know if I can say anything specifically didn't work in this film. That's the problem. I think a lot of things were just okay in it.
Yeah, that's about what the only thing I can say is wrong with it is that everything just was okay. It wasn't.
There were some things that were good though. That's the thing. Like,
but I have today high budgeted stuff that
actually fails. Yeah,
I'm just like, no, it doesn't fail by.
There has to be something that's wrong in this. Like, I hate just trying to praise a movie. Like, even Stalker. Stalker is too long. Even though you need that length for the story, like, we still
sometimes they ran the cars a little bit too long.
Yeah, the nitroglycerin stuff was stupid. Let's be frank. As we have seen in most of these movies, these kinds of movies, they could have just gotten dynamite from the corner store and done the same thing, but like cans of nitroglycerin rattling around in a car that's like screaming down unpaved roads, and they're bitching about how unstable it is.
And these are dirt roads, not paved.
That's dumb.
They are dirt roads.
So just get dynamite. Get a big.
And he wouldn't have had to destroy his car because all he would.
No. That's fine. That's fine. Like, still just load the car up. He lights a fuse on one of them, then jumps out because they don't have like a detonator in line or whatever. And you don't. The Gila monster's moving. He's having to like intercept it. Like, hey, it's starting to move, and since it's so big, it's moving at like 30, 40 miles an hour. He's having to chase after it with his car. Like, I get that, but make that a tense scene. That thing
doesn't move very fast.
I know, but you just say, hey, look, it's moving faster than we can like run up to and put a box of dynamite down with like a line.
Yes.
I think the nitroglycerin was a dumb thing. It would have been just as easy with dynamite. That's my one complaint. Anything else that does not work?
Besides the fact that it's just like an average.
Most of it is average. There's some things that stand out as actually being cool and fun. And
your funny sheriff thing.
The funny sheriff thing, but I mean, the acting is all good in this. Like, I think it's charming. I think Chase Winstead as a character is actually a really nice character. He's not like Lily Whitehat. You know what I mean?
No.
Like, he's clearly stealing things off cars.
So Wheeler does have a bitch on him, but his son Pat would probably been in more trouble if he didn't have Chase doing.
I like that they actually talk about like, hey, here's these two characters right at the beginning of the film that get killed, and it's not just like the evil rich old father figure. They actually go out to the farm of the girl's parents, and they're nice people. They're just like regular people. Hey, my girl is nice, but I know that she goes and necks in the woods.
She's with that Wheeler that's going to dump her, is what her mom said.
Yeah, and I'm going to be heartbroken because she's going to be heartbroken. But like, they're regular people. That's what they came across as. It wasn't like they were comically made.
That's where you get the tractor in front of you too.
Yeah, the tractor.
With the chicken that goes underneath it.
Yeah, there's tractors in this. Anyway, do we recommend the movie?
I guess I could recommend it.
I'm going to recommend it. I had a lot of fun with this. I was actually engaged with it. And maybe it's because, again, we've watched some kind of disappointing films, but I went into this thinking, okay, I remember the MST3K. The MST3K was funny.
But it's another one of those that I'll probably forget that I've seen until I see it again.
But it surprised me with how good it was, how parts of it were good, because I wasn't expecting anything above average. Like, my best case scenario was 90% of the movie is average and like 10% of it is crap. Whereas what I got was 10% of this movie was, or 20%, let's say, was actually good, and 80% was average.
Yeah, that's how I'd look at it.
So it's a recommendation. I would like give it a 6 out of 10. Like, I honestly enjoyed watching this. I'd watch it again. I would have no compunctions about watching it again.
Okay.
Anything else we want to say?
No, I think that's it.
I think we're going to watch The Killer Shrews next.
Okay.
Because this was double featured with Killer Shrews made by the same people. So
one right behind the other.
Yeah, we're going to do both right away. And we're also sort of planning on doing some more Godzilla films at some point.
Yes, he brought a whole big, huge collection.
Yes, and we are currently trying to see if we're going to have our guest host Chuck Wilson back too, depending on schedules. So we have to look at that because he's a huge fan of Godzilla films. He knows more about it than I do, and I love these movies. So yeah, we ended up getting some of the old Godzillas. So we're looking at doing that. That's just kind of a sneak preview for the future. Even though this is like episode 156, I know that we have like at least 100, 200 more episodes in us.
Wow.
With just like things that I know that we can find.
More?
Yeah, that I can find. That I can easily find movies on. So
okay, well, he's looking for the far future.
Yeah.
I take one at a time.
One step at a time. With
This
Killer
is
Shrews.
Darlene, and you have a good evening.
Keep watching the skies.
At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought.
Thanks for listening to this episode of This Week in Geek. Hungry for more? Check out our website at thisweekingeek.net. You can subscribe to the podcast, browse our Twitter and Instagram, and leave your thoughts on today's topics. If you'd like to give us some feedback, send us an email at feedback@thisweekingeek.net. Tune in next time, and remember,
lower your shields and surrender your listenership.
We would be honored if you would join us.
Thank you for your cooperation. Good night.